You ready to get sweaty? Let's take a look at the most competitive decks in this installment of It's Made of Money. What's up, nerds? This will be the start of a new weekly series where we take a look at the top meta decks and the most competitive lists you can run according to untapped.gg. I'll be giving my opinions on each deck, explaining how they work, their strengths, their weaknesses, and also going over some replacements in case you're missing a couple of the cards, but you still want to be competitive or run that specific list. Alright, let's just jump right in. First deck up is Thanos Control. It's got a 54.6% win rate with an average net cube of 0.33. Honestly, this one was a little surprising for me to see, because Mobius is everywhere, and he absolutely takes your lunch money if you're trying to play Sarah. So there is a card I would suggest running in a Sarah list if you're going to try this stuff out, but we'll get to that in a minute. This list is using Shadow King and Shang-Chi as our main tech cards, but we also have Luke Cage and Mobius to annoy the opponent a little bit. Luke Cage mostly here is so you can Shadow King, but not have your stuff get reduced. The list does have some explosive plays if everything goes well because of Mysterio and Hitmonkey and Bishop. That's where all the power comes from in this deck is Angela, Elsa, Bishop, Hitmonkey. That's your power plays. What's unique and strong about this deck is that it can output really big power while still countering what your opponent is doing. Not really in many decks in Snap can do that. Weaknesses to Thanos Control are opposing Mobiuses, restrictive locations, and just not drawing the right cards you need for a specific matchup. So some replacements I would suggest if you're going to try this list out, I actually would run Rogue instead of Mobius, because Rogue is very important to steal opposing Mobiuses in order for your Sarah to actually decrease the cost of your cards. Replacements, if you don't have Jeff, because I know someone's going to ask in the comments, try out Scarlet Witch. It's a good control card. And one of the weaknesses of Sarah is restrictive locations. So yeah, Scarlet Witch is your replacement for Jeff. Next up is the new style of move decks featuring Elsa Bloodstone. The archetype overall has a win rate of 56.4% with an average cube rate of 0.31. Basically, this deck is a tempo deck, I guess you could call it. There's not really such a thing in Marvel Snaps. Marvel Snap's a weird game. But what you're doing is you're cranking out a lot of power early, gaining priority, and closing out the match with an Elaheh. This deck's also very good at abusing Elsa because you can fill up a lane and then finish filling up the lane with your Nightcrawler, Jeff, Vision, Spider-Man, all those things. They can all then move out of the lane. So you can trigger Elsa 6-7 times in a game if you really get lucky. The main strength of this list is it's just got a solid matchup against most decks. You don't feel like you're really like screwed or you have no hope in pretty much any matchup you play. The weakness for this deck would be awkward draws. Sometimes you draw your top end too much, like your opening hand might be Elaheh, Vision, and then Mobius or something. And you're like, well, this kind of sucks. You want your opening hand to be like Elsa, Kitty, Kraven, your cheap stuff. I think Doom and Mobius are the two cards I personally would switch around. I've been really enjoying Miss Marvel in this type of list over Dr. Doom. Miss Marvel is actually pretty good against opposing Elaheh, because if you get Elaheh in one lane and you got a 7 power Miss Marvel thanks to Elsa, she can just fly over and win you the game. Also, you can be a little dumb while playing if you have Miss Marvel out. And Mobius is just a generally good card, but you could consider Luke Cage here to stop your stuff from getting Shadow Kinged, which is pretty important. Or if you just want some extra cheap power, try out Miles Morales. Shuri Kitty is up next here. 55.6% win rate with an average cube of 0.26. Now I just straight up don't agree here. Maybe this was good 2 weeks ago, but if you're gonna run a Shuri list at all, just do the Sauron Shuri stuff. This deck tries way too hard to do the same thing that the Sauron version can do. Really, maybe if you want to be cute and contrarian, sure, but just play the Sauron version. Next up is another confusing one with Hel Tribunal. Its win rate is 46.9. What? How is that a top meta deck? No. It's not good enough for me to call it a top meta deck or for me to suggest you try it if you're trying to be competitive. Sure, it's unbeatable when you have a good draw, but as you can tell by its win rate, that happens less than half the time. Old School Shuri, up next. 55% win rate, average cubes 0.21. I love it. This list is simple and effective. If you ever don't know what to play, or you just want to be competitive and not stress out about specific deck choices, go with Sauron Shuri. Is it Sauron? Sauron? I don't know. Green Dinosaur, Purple Pants. That guy. I do think Enchantress is completely unnecessary here. We already have Sauron, America Chavez to ensure drawing Sauron on the proper turn, and we have Zero. So, I don't really like Enchantress. I would suggest, like Jeff, Mobius, Nebula, really any 1 or 2 drop that you want to mess with. Titania, even. But yeah, that's the list. You know it. I'm not going to go over it too much more. Loki. Disagree with how low it is here. I'm sure you've heard this before, but Loki is exponentially better the better a player you are. It's got a 55.3% win rate, 0.21 average cubes, and it's 8% popularity. But I'll tell you, the higher you get on the ladder, like top 1000, the more Loki you see and the more you get crushed by it. So it's definitely better than mid B. The flex slots in Loki lists are Luke Cage, Mobius. You could do like Rogue and Cosmo there. It just depends what you want to beat or protect yourself against. But yeah, it's solid against everything. That's its strength. And its main weakness is board space, I think. Central Park sucks. Those damn squirrels pop up on the board and you're like, great, you gotta be super careful with what you play down because you're not gonna get a lot of power if you mess up just a little bit. Last up, my boy, Thanos. 53.7% win rate, average cubes 0.2. Control Thanos, it's back. But I would say it's much better in Conquest than it is on ladder. The strength of this list is unpredictable plays. The opponent never really knows exactly what you're gonna do. You've got a lot of tools to handle any situation, and the amount of cards you can swap in or out of this Thanos list in particular is also a strength of the deck. Weakness of Thanos is bad draws. Thanos is a snowball deck. You need to get the ball rolling early with some sort of draw stone, space stone, time stone, mind stone, whatever, to start drawing cards and putting stuff on the board and churning through your deck. That doesn't happen every game. Sometimes you just have a weird opening hand and you sit there and do nothing until turn 3, and it's hard to win those games. The replacements, I think Mobius, Vision, and Leader are all replaceable here. There's lots of stuff you could replace all that with. Daredevil, Rogue, Cosmo, Shang-Chi, Luke Cage, Shadow King, all viable options for those low-cost tech cards. Also, you could consider running Claw instead of Vision. Alright, that's the rundown. My suggestions, if you're trying to ladder or just rank fast, try out Sauron Shuri. Always a solid list. And if you're trying to get an Infinity ticket or playing in tournament, I would go with Thanos Control. Good luck in your games. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. See you later. Peace, nerds.